Guys, and welcome back to another comic talk. This is the Qube, and today I'm going to be reviewing Red Hood and the Outlaws. Now, for those of you who haven't been keeping up with the past few issues, we've got Red Hood, Artemis, and Bizarro, who seem to be taking point on this cover. We see a lot of Jason Todd, Red Hood, who's desperately trying to uncover Black Masks, who's the main villain of this series, underground kind of corporation he seems to be gathering weapons of all sorts and sizes to really fight in a war or take over a city. We're not even sure yet, but the writer is Lobdell and the artists are Soy and Gandini. I really enjoyed this. We're seeing a more vulgar comic basically with this. We're seeing three members of a team that don't really seem to be working well together just yet. Jason is desperately trying to get Bizarro to calm down or at least not kill him, and Bizarro is just constantly angry because he's being compared to Superman or being compared to a villain, and he wants to be none of those things. He just wants to be Bizarro. So what Jason does is brings him a Superman toy and makes him realize that he's not just Superman, he's not just this monster that Black Mask and Artemis make him out to be. He's his own person and he doesn't have to follow those guidelines. And it really helps Bizarro out to one point or another, and it also helps Black Mask out because he realizes what Bizarro's weakness is, and it's kind of like self-doubt. Artemis, who, for those of you who haven't been keeping up with the comic, is in search of this weapon called the Weapon of Ra, and it seems to be a bow of sorts, and Black Mask has it, so she decides to be caught by Black Mask just so she can get closer to where the weapon might be. And as we make our way through the comic, Black Mask basically reveals to each of these characters a small little revelation that really knocks them off their feet. So firstly, we have Artemis. Jason is talking with Black Mask, and they mention the Weapon of Ra that Artemis is looking for, and Jason basically knows that Artemis is eavesdropping on the conversation. So he mentions the Weapon of Ra, and Black Mask mentions that it's basically been sold and not there anymore. So Artemis decides to leave, and Jason wishes her well, not through words, just in mind, but at least we know that he's not totally an a-hole. Artemis, after leaving, doesn't realize and doesn't hear what Jason finds out next, basically, that Black Mask knows who Jason Todd is. And using the techno virus that he used at the beginning of the comic, he basically decides to control Bizarro. And that's where the comic ends, with him using Bizarro basically almost as like a mech. He's standing behind Bizarro, and every action that Black Mask does, Bizarro does. And now that Jason Todd is found out trying to basically undermine Black Mask, Bizarro is about to whoop his ass in the next comic. So I really enjoyed this comic. The art style, yet again, kind of gritty, kind of vulgar with all the angles and stuff. One thing I really did like in particular, though, if you guys go back to when Jason is trying to soothe Bizarro, they were both laying on the ground, and he asked Bizarro to listen to the city of Gotham around them and listen to all those people. And although all of them live their own kind of insignificant lives compared to Bizarro's and Jason's, but they don't realize that, and that's something that Bizarro has to realize, that he has his own life to live. And Jason and nobody else can control that, and it kind of helps Bizarro out. But what he doesn't realize, that using the techno virus, Black Mask can exploit that kind of emotional gap that Bizarro has, and basically uses it to control his own mind. And at the comic, we see Black Mask standing there, Bizarro standing behind them taking the same pose, and Black Mask controlling him. So I'm really interested to see how far Black Mask goes with a whole Superman at his arsenal. It really is interesting to see a villain with such power, even though he technically doesn't directly control it. It is in someone else, but he has the will over it. Black Mask wearing his new GIMP mask. If you guys haven't seen that, it's a weird choice. It's got this literal zipper and everything. It's kind of funny, a little weird, but hey, what are you gonna do? So this has been the Qube. I really enjoyed this comic, and I recommend it to you guys. I'll catch you guys later, and see ya.